It is said that the main rule of the street is loyalty above all else, because without it, nothing exists, and therefore, if you break it, only one path awaits you, and that is death. It is normal for this to be done by the weakest pillars of the gangs. They are looking to obtain some benefit from an enemy cartel, but in the story we bring you today, it is nothing like this, since it was old Lin himself who betrayed the gang that has given him all his fame. But how is this possible? Stay until the end of the video and find out. Before starting, leave your registration with a like button and subscribe to our stories. They will surely catch you. Now, activate the bell so we can start. From an early age, Lin demonstrated an extraordinary ability to manipulate others and forge secret alliances that helped him quickly rise through the ranks of La Pandilla, as Lin gained power and respect within the Maras Salvatrucha also grew his desire for absolute control and dominance. He began to question the authority of the gang's older, more traditional leaders, considering them an obstacle to his ambitions. Lin was eager to take the gang down a more lucrative and ambitious path and was willing to betray his own gang members to achieve this. Lin's betrayal was meticulously planned and executed. He began to undermine the authority of the gang's leaders by sowing discord and mistrust among the members. At the same time, he established secret alliances with rival gang members and drug traffickers, offering strategic information about the Maras Salvatrucha in exchange for support for his own rise to power. Lin's betrayal finally became evident when a series of attacks and ambushes against the Maras Salvatrucha were attributed to information provided by him. However, Lin was cunning enough to keep his role in these betrayals a secret, staying in the shadows and manipulating events from afar. When Lin's betrayal was finally discovered, anger and hatred toward him were rampant. He was subjected to a summary trial by a council of La Pandilla leaders, where the full extent of his treachery was revealed. He was sentenced to death for treason and for endangering the safety of the Maras Salvatrucha gang for his own selfish interests. However, death was not Lin's final destination. In a surprising turn of events, the Maras Salvatrucha leaders decided that death was too lenient a punishment for him. Instead, they decided to sell Lin out to the police as revenge for his betrayal. Selling Lin out to the police was a devastating blow to him, was his imprisonment in a maximum security prison where he was subjected to relentless scrutiny and harsh living conditions. He spent years in prison reflecting on his actions, bitterly regretting his betrayal of the gang he once considered family. Despite everything, Lin never lost his cunning or determination. During his time in prison, he managed to gain the trust of some of the prison officials, which allowed him to obtain certain privileges and amenities. He also used this time to plan his eventual release and revenge against those who had betrayed him. Finally, the day of his release arrived. Lin had managed to secure his freedom in exchange for valuable information about the operations of the gang and the remaining leaders of the Maras Salvatrucha gang. However, his release was only the beginning of his revenge. With his cunning and determination intact, Lin began to weave a web of influence and power that allowed him to regain control of his life and seeking revenge against those who had betrayed him. After his release from prison, Lin was determined to exact revenge on those who had sold him out and caused his downfall. With his cunning and determination intact, he began to meticulously plan his revenge, knowing that he needed to be careful and strategic to achieve his goal. First, Lin made sure to keep a low profile and go unnoticed by those who might still consider him a threat. He used his connections inside and outside the gang to gather information on the leaders who had betrayed him and their current movements and activities. Every time he had the information he needed, Lin began to execute his revenge with precision and determination. Using his manipulation skills and his inside knowledge of the gang, he began to sow discord and mistrust among the remaining leaders of the Maras Salvatrucha. He knew that to consolidate his position as the leader first had to weaken those who opposed him. One of Lin's most effective tactics was to exploit internal rivalries and tensions within the gang. He used his influence to manipulate key members of the Maras Salvatrucha, leading them to believe that the remaining leaders were plotting against them. This strategy resulted in a series of internal clashes and divisions within the force, further weakening its structure and its ability to resist Lin. Meanwhile, Lin also began to establish secret alliances with rival gangs and drug traffickers, thus securing a support network and additional resources for his cause. He used these alliances to carry out a series of targeted attacks against the leaders of the Maras Salvatrucha, systematically eliminating those who stood in his way to power as the gang grew increasingly weaker. Lin seized the opportunity to consolidate his position as the undisputed leader. He used his cunning and charisma to gain the respect and loyalty of the remaining members of the gang by offering them a compelling vision of a brighter future. Under his leadership, finally, after a series of internal confrontations and betrayals, Lin managed to eliminate all those who had betrayed him and consolidate his position as the supreme leader of the gangs. His revenge was complete, and now he was the one dictating the terms and rules within the gang. By the way, if you enjoy the video, we invite you to give us your like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We continue. What other betrayals did the #1 gang members experience? The betrayal of Juan El Rata Morales. Juan was a low-ranking member of the Maras Salvatrucha gang, known for his double dealings and lack of respect for his fellow gang members, taking advantage of his position as a police informant. Juan provided information on the gang's activities, including meeting locations and names of important members. This information allowed the police carried out a series of successful operations against the Maras Salvatrucha, resulting in the capture and imprisonment of several key members when his role as an informant was discovered. Juan was captured by the gang and subjected to an extremely brutal punishment. He was tortured for days before being executed. His betrayal was a grim reminder of the consequences of disloyalty in the world of the Maras. Number 2. Javier's betrayal. The Snake Morales. Javier was a respected member of the Mara18 gang, known for his cunning and ability to maintain control over his territory. However, his ambition led him to betray his own gang in an attempt to take complete control. Javier established secret alliances with rival gang leaders and drug traffickers, offering information on the movements and plans of the Mara18 gang in exchange for power and territory. This betrayal led to a series of internal clashes and ambushes severely weakened the Mara18 gang. Javier began secretly conspiring with rival gang leaders, offering them valuable information about the operations and movements of the Mara18 gang in exchange for their support in assuming full control of the gang. These secret alliances provided Javier with a powerful support network and additional resources to consolidate his position within the Mara18 gang. However, as his betrayal became evident, internal tensions arose within the gang, with loyal members clashing with those who supported Javier. When Javier's betrayal was finally discovered, he was subjected to a summary trial by a council of leaders of the gang. He was charged with treason and endangering the security of the Mara18 gang for his own selfish interests. After a swift and unceremonious trial, Javier was unanimously sentenced to death. He was publicly executed as a warning to those who would attempt to betray Mara18 in the future, marking the end of their reign of treachery and unbridled ambition. Number 3. Rosa the Fierce Hernandez. Rosa was a prominent figure in the Maras Salvatrucha gang, known for her ferocity and loyalty to the gang. However, her desire for revenge led her to betray her own gang. Rosa had lost several loved ones in conflicts with rival gangs and was determined to retaliate. She established secret alliances with enemies of the Maras Salvatrucha gang and provided information on key members of the gang. Rosa's betrayal wreaked havoc within the Maras Salvatrucha gang with a series of targeted attacks and assassinations that significantly weakened the gang. Her betrayal was discovered after one of her allies revealed details about her actions to the gang's leaders. Rosa was captured and put on trial for her actions. A council of leaders of the Maras Salvatrucha was accused of treason and endangering the security of La Gang for their own selfish motives. After a swift and ruthless trial, Rosa was unanimously sentenced to death and publicly executed as a warning to those who would attempt to betray the Maras Salvatrucha in the future, marking the end of their reign of revenge and betrayal. These cases illustrate the brutality and lack of scruples that characterize the lives of the Maras. Betrayal is punished with extreme severity, and those who dare to challenge the gang's loyalty often pay a terrible price. It's also curious to think that the Maras only suffered a few betrayals. But, well, considering the way they kept their accounts straight, the truth would put no one off doing such a thing. The way they tortured traitors is unbelievable, and it's even rather terrifying to think how far a human being is capable of going. When we're talking about getting revenge, we reached the end of this video. If you liked it, I invite you to give us a like so we can continue making more videos like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. I wish you a great day. Until next time.